Thank you for tuning in. This is Nadeem. You're watching Empire Diaries. The world's power elite have given birth to a new kind of monster. It's called NACs, or Natural Asset Companies. Their plan is to make a new swoop for the agricultural land all around you, for the entire biodiversity. To talk about that, we'll catch up with Dr. Vandana Shiva and we'll see what she has to say about it. This new monster that has come, Natural Asset Companies,
yes,
which some people have they've begun to come to know about. New York Stock Exchange is deeply associated with it. So how monstrous and how dangerous do you think is it, and how is it dangerous for India and India's biodiversity?
Well, it is the final step of the financialization of the world. Money used to be a means of exchange. Barter used to be a means of exchange. During the rise of colonialism, money was made the measure of exploitation, and everything was taken in real wealth and converted into money. $45 trillion was stolen from India at that time. Then the World Bank and IMF were created as continuing the colonial experiment. For every dollar they lent, they generated $3 of business for themselves, and more money was flowing out as debt, servicing of debt, structural adjustment. Financialization, through the new model of financial asset companies, which is aiming at 4,000 trillion in the financial world, will mean that the debt crisis will be used as a takeover of the real resources and real wealth: land, forests, rivers, biodiversity. So it will mean total poverty and deprivation for the people who have taken care of these resources. And sadly, because most governments are indebted, most governments are seeking credit where it can come, they will be falling into the trap. Therefore, sovereignty over our land, sovereignty over our sea, sovereignty over our food, sovereignty over water have become vital as not just systems of democracy and freedom, but as systems for sustenance and staying alive. In a globally integrated world, they don't need local companies. What they will have is servicing agents, not companies. Just as much as the existing financial world has involved most of the bright minds of India. They're working for the banks and investment companies. So what they will do is spread their tentacles of new slavery through government systems, through new structural adjustment programs, through new climate conditionalities. Well, one would not have imagined that. It's just that in the last year, Bill Gates came out with his How to Address Climate Catastrophe, where everything is written clearly: net zero. Oh, net zero doesn't mean stopping the emissions. It just means getting someone else's land for carbon sequestration and carbon sinks and carbon offsetting. Biodiversity, oh, we can destroy this primary forest and offset it by a little park somewhere else that we'll plant. So this idea of offsets has emerged very fast last year, but obviously it is very clear that big schemes like this don't get born in a year. They've emerged in the last year. Climate change, sadly, something to which I've dedicated such a long time of my life and written the book Soil Not Oil. Climate change will be the means and mechanisms through which the financialization of land, of biodiversity, of water will take place. The main agenda is to take total control over food and replace real food with fake food, lab food. As their slogan is, farming without farmers and food without farms. So, just like the Green Revolution was introduced during a year of drought, but presenting it as a year of famine when nobody had died, I was old enough to know. Prices of wheat had increased, but there was no famine in India. But that's the narrative that the Green Revolution told to introduce chemicals. The narrative of hunger, of more hunger than last year, is A, hiding the real causes of hunger. Why is an abundant land like Africa today hungry? First, because they've been made dependent on imports and have been prevented from growing their own food and their food sovereignty during the 30 years of neoliberal globalization. Yes, some countries are dependent, but that doesn't mean they don't have land, they don't have biodiversity, they don't have water, they don't have knowledge to grow food. The scarcity is part of the past injustice. The new scarcity is because of new injustice of the financial world having entered food. They did it in the 2008 Wall Street collapse. That's when the financial world said buildings are not secure enough, but land and food everyone will always need. And if we enter this business, we will never lose. Financial companies have entered the food business. This year's food price increase is 87% because of financialization and financial speculation. So if we project into the $4,000 trillion economy that is being sought through the natural asset companies, the integration of chemicals, biotechnology, information technologies, and the financial world, what they call fintech. So agtech, fintech, biotech, all of this with this attachment of the word tech is the big takeover of the food system. And that's why, for me, Navdanya is so important. When 30 years ago, 35 years ago, I started saving seeds and created community seed banks. What we now need is seed banks of knowing how to live without the financial slavery, knowing how to live without the seed slavery of the Monsantos and the Bayers, and without the new food slavery that the Mr. Gates would like to create.
We once had the Industrial Revolution, and the world later woke up to it. We also had the Green Revolution, and yet again the world woke up to it. We now have NACs around us, the natural asset companies. This time too the world has to wake up to it, to the new kind of power. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website empirediaries.com. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, stay informed.